The wind howled through the cracks of the old house, rattling the loose window panes and sending cold drafts spiraling through the narrow corridors. I had inherited the place from my estranged uncle, a man I barely knew, and when the lawyer handed me the rusty iron key, I couldn't shake the unease that settled in my stomach. The house stood on a forgotten edge of the town, overgrown and weathered by decades of neglect. I wasn't sure why I had even come. There was no real reason to be here. I had no intention of living in a crumbling mansion on the outskirts of nowhere. But something about the key in my pocket pulled me in, like I had unfinished business here, even if I didn't know what it was. The inside of the house was as gloomy as the exterior. Faded wallpaper clung to the walls, peeling at the edges, and a layer of dust coated every surface. The furniture looked as though it hadn't been touched in years, like it had been abandoned in a hurry. The faint smell of mildew lingered in the air, mixed with something else, something faint, metallic. I made my way through the house, the old wooden floors creaking under my weight. Room after room revealed nothing but the remnants of a life I had never been a part of. Bookshelves lined with ancient volumes, dusty photographs of people I didn't recognize, and locked drawers that held no interest for me. But then I found the study. It was tucked away at the end of a narrow hallway, a small room with a heavy wooden desk at its center. Unlike the other rooms, this one seemed different. The air was thicker here. The dust settled as if no one had dared disturb it in decades. On the desk was an envelope, yellowed with age, and addressed to no one. Next to it was a small metal box, locked tightly with a padlock that seemed far newer than anything else in the room. The key in my pocket suddenly felt heavier. I pulled it out, examining the rusted surface. It matched the padlock perfectly. I hesitated for a moment, something about the box making me uncomfortable, but curiosity got the better of me. Slowly, I inserted the key into the lock and turned it, with a soft click. The lock opened easily, and I lifted the lid. Inside was a single object, a black leather-bound journal. I picked it up, feeling the weight of it in my hands. The edges of the pages were stained, as if it had been exposed to water, or worse. Flipping it open to the first page, I found my uncle's handwriting, neat and precise. "If you're reading this, I'm already gone." I paused. My heart skipped a beat, but I continued reading. "There are things in this house that should never be disturbed. I tried to hide it, but I fear I've failed. If you've come here, it's already too late." The words sent a chill down my spine. What could he possibly be talking about? The next few pages were filled with ramblings, warnings about strange occurrences, about a presence that haunted him. He wrote about doors closing on their own, footsteps in the attic, shadows moving in the corners of his vision. At first, I dismissed it as paranoia, the writings of an old man slowly losing his grip on reality. But then I reached the last entry. "There's a room in this house that must never be opened. I sealed it away, locked it up, so no one could ever enter. If you value your life, do not look for it. The key must remain hidden." I felt a cold sweat break out across my forehead. A room that must never be opened? Was that why the key felt so heavy in my pocket? I stood up, clutching the journal tightly in my hands, and looked around the study. Nothing in this room suggested danger, but I knew then, with a certainty that I couldn't explain, that somewhere in this house was a door I was never meant to find. I should have left. I should have thrown the journal into the fireplace, walked out the front door, and never looked back. But I didn't. Instead, I started searching. I don't know what compelled me. Maybe it was the mystery, the unanswered questions. Maybe it was sheer foolishness. But as I wandered through the maze of rooms and hallways, I found myself drawn to a part of the house I hadn't yet explored. At the very back, hidden behind a rotting tapestry, was a door. Unlike the others, this one had no handle, just a keyhole. The paint around it was chipped and scratched, as if someone had tried to pry it open long ago. I reached for the key in my pocket, knowing what it would unlock. The air around me felt colder, and for a moment, I considered turning back. But my hand was already on the key. With a deep breath, I inserted it into the lock and twisted. The door swung open with a low groan. Inside was a narrow staircase, descending into the darkness below. I stood at the threshold, staring down into the abyss. The smell hit me then. The same metallic scent from earlier, stronger now, mixed with the unmistakable odor of decay. There was something down there. For the first time since I'd entered the house, real fear gripped me. My uncle's warnings echoed in my mind, and I realized with terrifying clarity that I had made a grave mistake. The sound of movement came from the darkness below. A faint, scraping noise like something being dragged across the floor. I stepped back, heart racing, and slammed the door shut, locking it with trembling hands. I ran, through the hallways, past the dust-covered furniture, back to the front door. I didn't stop until I was outside, gasping for air. I never went back to that house. I still have the key, but whatever it unlocked, whatever was sealed away in that room, will remain hidden. At least, for now.